mad how the mood in football can change so much in a matter of months. I remember last season coming 15th, losing to Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League final, and 15th place. It was the worst feeling ever. It meant going into this season, I was saying I reckon we'll come 6th to 8th. I think we'll improve with one game a week, but 15th to 4th to 3rd would be a ridiculous jump. So you're probably thinking United come what? 7th, 8th, 6th. And then I go into the season, it's 2-2 with Grimsby, and I think, oh no, this could be another 10th place season. I'm getting nervous. But anyway, I was getting worried. And I don't know if you've seen that clip. There's a clip that's going about. I think it's from SDS from like back in August, where a Spurs fan is saying, we're going to be top half of the table and you won't be there. We'll be looking at you in the bottom half. And it's mad to think Man United are in the top half of the table right now and Spurs might go down. And it brings me back to August, yeah. It brings me back to August. I did a video. This was before we signed Sesko, before we signed Le Mans. We hadn't even really been linked to Belabor at this point. This was, predicting the Premier League season, like who was going to go first. So Liverpool and City and Arsenal all thought they were going to be first. Chelsea sort of put themselves up there, Villa, Tottenham, Newcastle, and all of that. And I said, I think United will come 6th, 7th, 8th. We'd only signed Cunha and Bouma at that point. We came 15th last year. I said, well, we got one game a week. I think we'll improve. I think we'll come, 6th, 7th, 8th. I remember doing this video with Sack. Everyone was like, Man United, get to the bottom half. Man United, get to 12th, get to 13th. People thought Everton, Bournemouth, Brighton were going to finish above us. Like, no one questioned Tottenham being 6th, but me standing, 8th? Me saying 6th, 7th, 8th, people are like, nah, Man United, get to the other end. It's crazy how in a few months, we're now in a position where, Champions League, it looks like it could actually be happening for Manchester United. It seriously looks like it could be happening for Manchester United. And not just Champions League, but 3rd place. If we beat Villa, we're in 3rd. At the beginning of the season, I'm thinking 6th to 8th. I'm hoping 6th. I'm hoping Europa League. I'm not confident. Do you know what I mean? We hadn't signed. It was back in August. Season starts, we're just thinking, okay, if we could get Champions League, that's great. We'll take Europa League now. We're like, if we get Europa League, we're going to be upset. If we don't get Champions League football, we're going to be upset. We could get 3rd here. And I look at, the fact that we drop points to Burnley, the fact that we drop points to Wolves and a 10-man Everton side, that would give us 7 more points if we won those games, which would actually put us on 55 points. And if we win our game in hand over Arsenal, that would take us to 58 points, which would be 3 points behind Arsenal if we only won those games, which is mad to think, are we close to something? Now, look, we didn't win those games, so I can continue with those if, buts, and maybes. But the mood has just changed so much to like Man United, get to the bottom half of the table, to Man United might finish 3rd. Now you've got pundits like Jamie O'Hara saying, Man United are maybe closer to winning a title than we think. Now, I don't want to have a conversation about Man United being close to winning a title because we've got one game a week. Next week, we'll have 2 games a week. It's a completely different ball game, and we don't know who our manager will be. But I'm saying 3rd place, considering where we were last year, would be unbelievable. And we've got a real opportunity to do it because we play Crystal Palace on Sunday. Adam Wharton's out for the game. Crystal Palace played on Thursday. We know that Crystal Palace haven't dealt well with having midweek games. We know that Crystal Palace haven't been good. They only just beat Wolves because of a penalty. They bottled a 2-0 lead to Burnley. Crystal Palace haven't looked as good lately. We're at home. They've played midweek. They're going to be tired. We do have that advantage over Crystal Palace. So why is this big? Why is all of this big for Manchester United? At the beginning of the season, we're thinking if we can maybe get back in the Europa League, that would be nice. Then it didn't look good. No one thought Man United were going to have a good season. Villa looked like we're on a great run. 3rd place. 3rd place gives us a massive advantage in the transfer window. I'm not confident of signing Wharton, Tonali or Elliot Anderson, but these are 3 elite players that if you get Champions League football and you start to show an exciting project, they may come. Deep down, I think Wharton goes to Liverpool, Elliot Anderson goes to City, and I think Tonali, if he does leave Newcastle, it'd more likely be Arsenal or abroad, and I don't think it's going to be easy to get Tonali out of Newcastle. I'm not confident that Tonali would want to come to Manchester United, but, if Newcastle come 12th, we come 3rd, we have Champions League football, we offer big money for Tonali, it's possible. Like, Tonali would be my dream Casemiro replacement. I'm not confident that we would be able to get him. Same with Wharton or Anderson. But if we get 3rd place and we get Champions League football, the money we have for wages, the money we have for transfers, and the pool we have is immense. Because you've got to remember, we weren't in Europe, and we still managed to get Cunha. and we still managed to get Mbumo. Tottenham were in Champions League, they wanted Mbumo. Arsenal in Champions League, they looked at Mbumo. Newcastle in Champions League, they wanted Mbumo. He went to us. Cunha, Newcastle and Arsenal looked at. He went to us. I think Villa looked at Cunha as well. He went to us. Sesko chose us over Newcastle. Le Mans chose us over Villa. Teams in Europe. So the pool we have, if we're in Europe next season, is big. But do you know what's really big for me? More chance of Bruno staying. People don't realise Bruno Fernandes has a 55.5 million release clause or 56.5 million release clause this summer. He's mint. Like, if you're Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, PSG, you will consider that because he's still a top player and he's doing it for a bad side in the Premier League. But if we come and have a shit season and come 8th, Bruno's leaving. He's getting out there. We come 3rd and we get Champions League football. Bruno might go, well, I get to be in the Champions League. He might stay. And look, for me, we're losing Casemiro this summer. I don't think we can physically lose Bruno and Casemiro in the same summer. I think now that Casemiro's officially gone, we need to keep Bruno here for leadership reasons. Keep Maguire another year. Keep Bruno here for leadership reasons. Losing Bruno in the same window as Casemiro, for me, is catastrophic. So not only does Champions League football help us get the likes of an Anderson, a Walter, Talani, it helps us keep a Bruno. And this sort of dream at the beginning of the season of, can't we get Champions League football, that everyone kind of laughed, was like, no, but maybe Europa League, hopefully Europa League. This dream, it looks like it's happening. It looks like it's finally happening for Man United, where we've got an opportunity, if we lose to Crystal Palace, but it looks like it's finally happening for United, but we've got an opportunity to get Champions League football, which is massive because it can change our summer. Like, why is this massive? Why is this huge? Earning in excess of 100 million by qualifying for the UCL would have an impact on United's ability to offer big money transfers for transfer targets in the summer, and the club are committed to moving high earners off the books. So it looks like it's happening in UCL football, unless we bottle it. I think we've got the advantage 1 game a week over Chelsea, over Liverpool, over Villa. Villa are dropping off. I think we got that advantage. I don't think we look great in the last few games, but I think we have that advantage. We do have some difficult games coming up. And that is huge. Our rebuild, I think, moves 30% faster with Champions League football because of what we can do in the summer, the amount we can spend. I think we need Champions League football this summer for our rebuild. I think the impact it would have on our rebuild and what we can do in the summer is huge. Don't get me wrong, we're Man United. We've got a good pool. Even when we're not in Europe, we had a good pool. But the money we have, the financial side of it, I think our rebuild to getting back to the top will go so much quicker with Champions League football. What's also good is I think we spent a lot of money in the past and we spent enough money to win more titles than we have won. We've won no Premier League titles in the last 12 years, and considering the money spent, we should probably at least have 1 or 2 for that, But that's because when we have spent money in the past, it's been spent on crap. All of a sudden, this summer, all 4 out of 4 signings are looking good. All 4 out of 4 signings are showing something. Even if they have bad periods, even if they're inconsistent periods, we're seeing something from every single signing we made this summer. So not only could we have more money to spend, but I do feel like for a change, the money is going to be spent in the right place. Now, don't get me wrong. Jason Wilcox almost put it on Delap. Amarin almost put it on Gyökeres. We almost put it on players that maybe wouldn't have been great. So I'm not 100% confident, but it feels like we're in a position where we might finally get Champions League football. We might finally have a bit of money to spend, but most importantly, people that might spend that money on the right players. The midfielders are priority. That's good. They want 2 top midfielders. I want a Tonali, I want an Elliot Anderson, I like a Matheus Fernandes, I'd like an Njai, I'd like a winger as well. Not just UCL football and money, but making sure we spend money on the right players. Because I think we have a good base. I look at our team and I seriously think we have a good base, but it is. You need to replace Casemiro. For me, that would be Tonali. You need to bring in a Nagati replacement, that would be Matheus Fernandes. You need to bring in a third midfielder for depth, whether that's João Gomez, Sander Berge, whether you look at, seeing if you could get someone like a Elliot Anderson and do something crazy, that would make your midfield even stronger. We need to look at a left winger, Kvaratskhelia and Jai. I think we need to look at an overlapping left back. But I think add to that and you build something. Obviously, it depends on the manager and how we cope with 2 games a week, but I feel like it's starting to happen at Man United. Things are starting to go a good way. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.